Ocasio-Cortez doesn't seem to know where too far is. She also doesn't seem to understand that you can walk things back if you're wrong. So what happens is she says something ridiculous and refuses to apologize for it, and then in many instances actually incorporates it into her platform. Take a look at what happened with the Green New Deal, right? She puts out this ridiculous FAQ that claims they can't get rid of farting cows and airplanes fast enough, and then she says, oh, that was a mistake. The FAQ says something about providing economic security to those unwilling to work. It was a mistake. That wasn't supposed to go out. Instead of acknowledging that it was her plan, they took heat for it, and so now they're saying it was an intern who made an error. It's not her fault, right? So let's just clarify this. She said it was a mistake. Fine, but it's her mistake, not the intern or whatever. Now she's made nonsensical statements about the border facilities, saying that they're concentration camps. What does she do? She goes on a tour and then says all of these awful things are happening and that CBP is a rogue agency. Very few people want to see CBP or ICE dissolved. Ocasio-Cortez does, and she doubles down. She campaigned on abolishing ICE, so what happens? When the Democrats want to approve a bill which would provide health, like humanitarian aid to the border, Ocasio-Cortez says no. When the Democrats agreed to fund the government along with the Republicans, Ocasio-Cortez voted no. And surprisingly, Ocasio-Cortez has voted in agreement with Trump's positions, inadvertently, more than like half of the Democrats in the House. Now we have Dan Crenshaw saying AOC is getting bolder with her lies about border crisis, refuses to offer illegal immigration fix. So let's just make one thing clear. If the Democrats had said okay to the funding the Republicans wanted, that the mainstream media actually said they deserved, we wouldn't be seeing this crisis. This is a manufactured crisis in the sense that AOC and the far-left Democrats who refused to fund the border bill have manufactured the crisis, and now they're campaigning on it. Let's see what Dan had to say. From Fox News. Ocasio-Cortez hasn't told the truth about her visit to a border detention facility and refuses to help alleviate the crisis, according to Dan Crenshaw, Republican from Texas. Crenshaw then went a step further, claiming Ocasio-Cortez is one of several Democrats who want to see open borders during a Tuesday appearance on The Story. It's sad to see. She's getting bolder with her lies on this, he claimed. Now she is saying that Border Patrol agents harassed her and forced migrants to drink out of toilets. This is insanity. This is not true. There is no one else corroborating these kinds of reports. Think about what happens when Trump says something. They say Trump claimed without evidence. Ocasio-Cortez is claiming without evidence that people were being forced to drink out of toilets. To me, this sounds like a ridiculous conspiracy theory. I'll tell you what it really sounds like, though. To me, it sounds like Ocasio-Cortez made ridiculous claims about concentration camps. She took a ton of heat for it, and now she needs to prove everyone wrong. Instead of just admitting she was wrong, and it's fine, and we can move on, she refuses. And it's getting dangerous. We have record numbers of migrants pouring across the border, and what does she do? Obstruct, and now push this nonsense. I don't want to rant. I talk about this a lot, so let's read what Dan Crenshaw had to say. First, they do show a tweet from Ocasio-Cortez. She said, I can't understate how disturbing it was that CBP officers were openly disrespectful of the congressional tour. Understate how disturbing it was. I'm sorry, okay, Ocasio-Cortez. In this country, even if you are working for the government, you are not, you cannot command respect. If a CBP officer wants to laugh and you're present, too bad. I kid you not. Ocasio-Cortez was claiming that they were laughing in front of her. Her words. CBP said that some guy was like behind his computer desk and showed one of his friends something and laughed, and she got mad about it. Sounds like she corroborated that. Sounds like some dudes were at work, made a joke of some sort, and she got really angry and is now demanding accountability because, heaven forbid, someone laughs while they're at work. She said, if officers felt comfortable violating agreements in front of their own management and superiors, that tells us the agency has lost all control of their own officers. Violating agreements? What agreements? Yet, quote, yet she is using it to try and make her case that we shouldn't have any enforcement and that we should have open borders. This is really dishonest behavior from a member of Congress, and I honestly can't believe it. Let's talk a little bit. A lot of people are saying open borders. The Democrats, like the elected ones, have never openly said open borders. But what they're proposing would result in a permanent underclass that would be living under, at the whim of those who could deport them whenever they want. You look at the Democratic debates where Joe Biden said we shouldn't focus on deporting, illegal immigrants who don't break the rules. You look at what Ocasio-Cortez says. Actually, let's look to the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, of which she is a card-carrying member. They protest borders, literally holding up signs saying no borders. So what can I assume Ocasio-Cortez wants? Well, when she says abolish ICE, when she doesn't offer any solutions, it seems to me like Ocasio-Cortez is the one manufacturing the crisis. If you don't fund the border facilities, they degrade. She then highlights the poor conditions as evidence of wrongdoing. It's her fault, literally. But you know what? There's going to be a bunch of people on the tribal left who just say, wow, she was right. It is bad. Put two and two together. If she agreed along with everyone else, instead of wanting to send her message, that's what she said, then we wouldn't be here. I'm actually really, really concerned. It's disconcerting about what's happening on the border. There was reporting the other day that border patrol agents are arming themselves over a fear of a riot, potential riots in Texas. When you have record numbers of migrants pouring into the country, over 100,000, 144,000 in the past month, nearly 400,000 this year, what do you think happens? We can't put them all in these facilities. They're overcrowded. They're being shipped to other places, including Portland, Maine. Eventually, there is just going to be a massive amount of people in a cramped detention facility. Cortez is going to complain about it. A riot will break out. And then you're going to have the right saying, deport these people, and the left saying, don't. When the Democrats offer healthcare, government healthcare to illegal immigrants, and say they won't deport them, imagine what happens. Illegal immigrants come to this country for free healthcare. They work crappy jobs under the table because they're not full citizens. They won't be deported. That's an underclass. Well, let's read on to see what Crenshaw had to say. Crenshaw added that he believed Ocasio-Cortez is not being forthright on the facts about illegal immigration and the influx of asylum seekers. He says, people like AOC are operating off of a false premise, and it's deliberately designed to misinform the American people for her political ends. I completely agree. First, there was no crisis at all. Then it was a manufactured crisis. Then it was a crisis completely created by Trump. Then there were concentration camps. Then people are World War II Germans, we'll put it that way. Turning to Democratic lawmakers writ large, Crenshaw said he does not see much interest in engaging with Republicans to fix the crisis. What they're really doing is trying to stand on their moral high horse and sling arrows at everybody else while not offering a solution. They fought us tooth and nail against the $4.5 million, I'm pretty sure it's $1 billion, in humanitarian aid the president needed, that DHS needed. He added Ocasio-Cortez and Rep. Joaquin Castro, who recorded video from inside the facility that lawmakers visited, should offer to house people who are detained instead of lamenting conditions at the border. Castro puts out this video. AOC talks about these things. I don't see them offering up any space in their own homes. They're not offering a better solution. What they really want is no enforcement. I imagine we'll get to a point where you will have riots at these facilities. I can't blame the migrants necessarily for wanting to riot if there's no food, if the water's not working properly, and they're in horrifying conditions. I can pass the blame a bit because many of these people are economic migrants coming here thinking they're going to get a chance at a free job and free access to the United States and healthcare and all of these things that have been promised by Democrats. California has just passed a bill, I don't know if it's signed into law yet, saying that they'll give illegal immigrants healthcare. So no wonder they keep coming, and they're coming in record numbers. But then they end up in these facilities, they get mad at the conditions, and we're facing potential riots. But what do you think happens when a riot breaks out? The armed guards will defend themselves. Someone will get hurt. The left will riot in response. Then you're going to have people escaping the facilities. That it already happened in southern Mexico. Like 1,300 people escaped a facility and fled. What do you think happens then when it comes to the U.S.? We are at critical mass. They will flee. And you'll have a massive influx of unaccountable people who aren't vaccinated, some people who are bad, like there are criminals and drug dealers, some people who are just migrants. Where do they go? You're then going to see a bunch of people dying in the wilderness from exhaustion, from exposure, from dehydration, etc. And that's when you see the left blame the Republicans and the Republicans blame the left. But I can only say one real thing. From the beginning, Trump said we need border security. Well, we did. We did 6 months ago. And the Democrats said no. AOC said no. So, you know what? To reiterate my point, and we'll wrap this up, Dan Crenshaw is right about a lot of things. You know, it comes down to opinion. Do you trust Ocasio-Cortez? I certainly don't. I think for her, it's about ego. It's about being right. It's about gaining followers. She has no idea what she's talking about, and she's riling herself up, and she's radicalizing herself. She says something that makes no sense. When everyone calls her out, she gets angry and then doubles down, and she has been on a fervent tirade about insane conspiracy nonsense. There's no evidence to suggest that anybody was forced to drink from a toilet. In fact, it could just be a miscommunication because the water fountains and the toilets are the same thing. Maybe she's right. Okay. Well, the solution is obvious. Give the government the money they're asking for, but you obstructed that. And here we are today. It's no one's fault but the Democrats for resisting and obstructing. And now they're complaining. It's kind of nightmarish when you realize what they're doing. It's a complete manipulation. Complete manipulation. I don't think the Republicans have all the right answers on a lot of issues. But Trump, pulled back in terms of the war with Iran. Hopefully we're still there. We'll see what happens. He crossed into the DMZ. Great moments. There's been some pretty good foreign policy decisions so far. Domestic policy, well, in terms of the economy, hey, not bad. When we're talking about a bunch of other issues, there can be arguments made. When we're talking about past foreign policy decisions, there can be some arguments made. But the Republicans from the beginning said crisis. And I said, okay, Democrats, what's your solution? They offered none. Where are we now? Full-blown critical mass, detention centers degrading, just filled beyond capacity. And the Democrats are now using this problem as political fuel. If in the beginning they were unified, we wouldn't be here. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Take it from Dan Crenshaw, don't take it from me, but I'm not surprised we're kind of in agreement on the issue. It's a common sense perspective. Look, even after the mainstream, more established corporate Democrats agreed for the bill, Cortez still said no. She said she wanted to send a message. Okay, great. Message received loud and clear. Stick around. The next segment will be coming up at 4 p.m. on my main channel, and I will see you all shortly.